Hello, fellow coders. Welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, we're all about making programming accessible and fun. Today, we're diving into the heart of Python programming. We're going to unravel the mystery behind objects, variables, and data types. So, whether you're a beginner just starting out or an experienced programmer looking to brush up your Python skills, you're in the right place. But before we get started, can you guess what's common between a Python object and a real-world object? Or how variables in Python are like labels on your storage boxes? Stick around to find out. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand these concepts but also be able to use them to write more efficient and cleaner Python code. So, let's get coding. In today's session, we will cover the basics of Python, starting with Hello World program and to see some arithmetic operations which showcase Python as calculator, and move on to variables and its noteworthy points. We will go through the assignment operators and its usages in Python. We will move on to Python objects and its attributes. We will see how Python can be as interactive as, like human being. More deep dive on using print function and the ways of using it. We will finally dwell into Python basic data types and end with the need of data type conversion in Python programming. We all came to know that Python is simple. But do we realize how simple is Python? Python is as simple as speaking or writing English. To understand this better, let's jump into a demo.
Doctor, nowadays I'm feeling more tired of doing works. And please advise how I can be more healthy throughout my life.
It is so simple to be healthy. For each day, in a week, eat one apple to keep you healthy.
Now, let's see how we can turn this into Pythonic. Doctor had advised to eat one apple daily for a week. Will doctors advise so organically? Ever? Anyhow, jokes apart, let's back to our business. Let's move to our Jupyter notebook to see the Pythonic magic. So to the point on, how simple is Python? Yes, simple English language shall be used to code in Python. Do you remember what Doctor advised? For each day in a week, eat one apple. So, we know that a week contains 7 days, and if you see, all those 7 days are stored in a variable called a_week, Monday to Sunday. Variable. Variables are nothing but a container which stores value. Use always a meaningful names while naming variables. We will see in detail during the later part of the session. Next, we are having a generic print statement to start the doctor prescription. We are using a built-in Python function called print. This will just print what we are inputting. We will get into more details about this print function in the later part of the video. For now, just imagine the print function works like a printer, where whatever asked to print will get printed. Next is the actual Python working. Instead of writing everything one by one for 7 days in a week, a single statement will help us to loop through. All these logic of looping we will be learning in our upcoming sessions. So for now, just understand the statement and it's working in Python. Same like Doctor oral statement, our Python code shall be written. For each day in a week, eat one apple. The same been written as a code in Python. So, it's so simple coding as like speaking English, right? Please look at the output, post-execution, to see the magic. Now you could have understand how Python is so simple. Hash. As discussed earlier, you can use hash as comments to explain what the respective line of coding does. So, it will be useful for anyone to easily understand why the specific line of code is written. Hope you all understand the simplicity of Python. Now, as like every programming, we will start off with printing hello world. Same old routine, but still we will slightly change to hello Python world. Just for fun. We can directly use print function, which is a built-in function from Python Foundation. There are loads of built-in functions exists for us to use. We will cover those in our upcoming sessions. Just execute the query provided and see the result. Let's try some more printing and see how it works. Simple and quite easy, right? Now as a tip, while using print function, we shall enclose the text within a single or double quotes. Both of them will work while printing. But, as a coding practice, we will stick with using double quotes. See the below execution, which will have no issues as well. As discussed earlier, hash is used for commenting in Python. Instead of using hash in every line for a multi-line comments, we can enclose the multi-line text within triple double quotes, as shown. Help! Let's move to the most interesting thing, which everyone should be aware of, while learning or practicing the code. Can you guess what it is? It is about help. How we shall get help. If we stuck somewhere while coding, as each and every syntax remembrance is not easy. So, we are going to discuss now on how to extract full potential of Python and its IDE, in case of emergency. Yes, when we stuck somewhere, it's always an emergency, right? If we are unsure of anything what it will do in Python, or we don't know how to use any built-in functions, or libraries, or anything, just use either of the two techniques. Both results same, but varies visually. You can either use question mark after the function, or use help function. When you execute print follows question mark, the result will appear separately from the regular output window. You can run the help function and see that the print function's description are printing in the output area. Basically, these two methods provide what that print function does, what parameter it will take as input, and what does it do. It basically prints the value, what it's been asked to. That we had understood already, based on the above examples. With this, we will move to the arithmetic section, where Python is working as a calculator, even scientific. But for now, we will start with the simple addition. 1 plus 2 gives 3 as output. A little more heavy arithmetic operation, and it will provide the desired output as well. Even, it works with decimal values arithmetic operations. Now, 2.25 to the power of 3 also been calculated in Python, as simple as that. Give some additional tries and see how Python is acting as a calculator. If you noticed, after performing all 4 arithmetic operations together in the same cell, output shown, for only one value as 10. That is, for the last statement, 3 plus 7. Actually, in Jupyter Notebook, only the last line statement's output value will be displayed in the out area of any given cell. To overcome this, please use print function if you have multiple lines to be printed with value in the same cell. The below cell execution proves the same. Now to understand better, let's do some class exercise on this arithmetic operations. Look out the class exercise 03_3. The question is, a dairy store had 1,000 packs of milk in the storage for the day. Out of the total storage, 5% was spoiled, and around 500 milk packs were sold so far. Calculate how many packs of milk left in the dairy store for the day. Obviously, in mathematics, we can bring out answers in multiple ways. First, let us understand the question. A milk store having 1,000 packs of milk. Somehow, 5% of 1,000 packs got spoiled. Around 500 packs got sold too. This is a glimpse, and we need to calculate the remaining packs of milk in the store. In the first way of solving shown, let's look at the inner portion. Out of 1,000 packs, 5% got spoiled. So, we used 5 divided by 100 for 5%, and calculating the total spoiled packs from 1,000 as 1,000 multiplied with 5 divided by 100. We know the total sold pack, which is 500. So altogether, we are reducing the spoiled pack and sold pack counts from the initial store pack of 1,000. This will give us the output of remaining packs in store as 450. Other way of solving this maths, I'm leaving it to you guys, as it's similar solving technique. If you have any queries, please do comment on the same. Hope you all are comfortable till now with the basics of Python and its arithmetic operations. Now, we will proceed with the main agenda of the session. As per our previous class exercise 03_3, we solved a problem in a pure mathematical way. By looking at it again, no one will understand easily what value is for what. So, to make it more readable and understandable, let's get each of the terms assigned to a readable variable. We all know the class exercise question we solved earlier, but still can go through once again for reference. Question. A dairy store had 1,000 packs of milk in the storage for the day. Out of the total storage, 5% was spoiled, and around 500 milk packs were sold so far. Calculate how many packs of milk left in the dairy store for the day. Now, we know the store has 1,000 packs of milk. So, let's assign a meaningful name as stock and assign value as 1,000. So, 1,000 been getting assigned to a variable called stock. Similar way, let's assign value to other variables like spoiled and total sold. Now, with these variables, we can calculate the current stock of milk left in the store. Please go through the note section, which will be useful always while coding. We have seen how values are getting assigned to a variable. Now, let's see what are variables and some of the naming convention tips while creating a variable. Variables are simply a containers to store values. Once value been assigned to these variables, it can be reused. As we saw, variables improves the readability of the code. Below are the list of naming convention tips while creating a variable. Variables shouldn't contain any space. It should have only alphabets, numbers, and underscore. Cannot have any special characters. Variables shouldn't begin with numbers. Don't use any Python keywords while naming a variable. Now, let's move on. As per the previous example, we know the initial stock in the store was 1,000 and post calculation, the store stock got updated to 450. So, we can assign the new value to the same stock variable, so it will have always latest store pack available. Right now, we know how to assign a value to a variable using equal to operator. Let's explore more on the assignment operators, which is not simply limited to the equal sign operator. If you look at the table below, we can use the assignment operator for all arithmetic operators. To brief, let's take the same milk store example, and the store now was able to sell additional 50 packs. We need to reduce the recent sold amount from the stock. To perform that action, usually we will do stock minus 50, and then assign it back to the same stock variable, so the latest stock will be updated. With this assignment operator, the calculations will be made more simpler. We can simply use stock minus equal to 50, which will perform the same operation as like stock equals stock minus 50. So the new stock got updated with 400, as per the operation carried out. Hope, so far, we are all clear with the variables, assignments and assignment operators. Any queries, please do a comment with your query. Let's move on to objects in Python. Python is an object-oriented programming language. As per definition, everything in Python treated as an object, including variable, function, list, tuple, dictionary, set, etc. No worries, if it's unclear, we will clearly understand this definition throughout this session. Now, see the example, just a number 7, also meant as object in Python. Python objects has 3 attributes called identity, type, and value. Let us see the object ID first. Every object has identity, as like the address in the memory where we store the objects. Don't get confused, just treat this as like your house address to identify where you're living. Let's try with the same example of 7, which is an object in Python. So, we will see what is the address or the object ID of 7. Simply use ID 7, which will give us the location. Since everything in Python is object, let's give a try to find out the identity of a built-in function, which we used earlier, print. Let us see the location of print function using ID. Now, we will see object type. This topic we will explore more in the later part of the video, but still give a try for 7. Type 7 will give us what type the object is. Hope we are all clear with the Python objects. We will move to an interesting segment now. Do you ever wonder a programming language can talk to us? Python does it. Let's see that visually now. Run the cell and see the conversation. Python started the conversation with, "Hello, I am Python. Let's have a conversation." It's asking us, "What's your name?" Let's introduce ourselves to Python first. We'll input our channel name. Python immediately greeted us back with, "Hello, learn technology and finance. It's great to meet you. Nice start." Again, Python came up with one more conversational question as, "How old are you?" Okay, let us say as 25. Python reverted as, "Wow, you are 25 years old. That's fantastic," with our age mentioned in the statement. Now, it's again asking, "How are you feeling today?" Okay, let's say as feeling awesome. Python now understood our emotions and looking for our hobby to extend the conversation. Okay, now we will say our hobby as coding. Python is excited by seeing our hobby. Good conversation with Python, isn't it? So, it's now clear that Python is not only a programming language, but also a great conversationalist. Hope you all agree with it. Now, we will go in detail to see how this conversation works in coding. Python started off with a generic print statement. Python used input to get our inputs for the question it asked with us during each conversation. Now, what this input is. We need to understand what input is. Let's recollect what we discussed earlier in case of emergency. Yes, let's use help and see what input is. If you see the help, we can just conclusively take one keyword, prompt. Rest all details are more relevant to coding. So, in such situations, we can Google or always visit python.org documentation. Just click the link provided in the notebook and land on the python.org built-in functions documentation page. Here, you can search for input and read through the details. In summary, in Python, we use the input function to take input from the user. Whatever entered as input, the input function converts it into a string. Even if the input entry is an integer value, still input function converts it into a string. Okay, now we understood on the input function. Let's move to the next print statement of how our input is concatenated with other texts Python used for conversation. In print function, we can use multiple statement or use variables by a comma separator, as shown. So, by this way, we can collaborate the input value and our own statement in print function. There are more ways exists in using the print function in Python. Let's see another way of using print function. Inside print function, start with f states the format. Using this format option, we can print the variables along with other text statements. Only the syntax will change, which we need to remember. Using format, need to use curly braces to enclose variable names to get it printed. Instead of using f as format, you can use the .format option to collect multiple variables at one place and use its positions to print the value at required place in the print statement. Always remember that the position starts with 0. Let's look at the first example where we can print our name and age, get via input function in the conversational chat. So, inside print function, give the position of the required variables to be printed inside curly braces. Post print statement, use .format and specify the required variable names. Execute and see the result. In the second print, had changed the age and name in format, and the print statement will print the values at different places. Yes, obviously, it's in irrelevant order. You can either use the right variable position in .format or use the proper position inside the print statement. You can play around with these different print statements to understand better. Hope we are clear with this print statement options and also understand on how Python is a conversationalist. Now, we will see a short glimpse of how Python is dynamic. If you are from other programming background or know little basics of other programs like C, C++ or Java, you know the process of declaring variable and how to do variable assignment. Just see below the examples from C, C++ and Java on how variable declaration and variable assignment are performed. In those languages, we need to explicitly declare a variable and post that we need to assign values to the variable. It's a two-step process. But in Python, both variable declaration and assignments are at a single place, as we saw. Python automatically assign the variable types based on the value we assign. This will lead us to the next agenda of our session, data types. We have assigned 25 to a variable called age. As like other programming language, we didn't specify what type of values the variable should hold. But Python will automatically assign the data type based on the value we assigned. Execute type of age and see the result. It is int, an integer. Means the variable age is holding an integer value. Now, we saw one data type called integer. We'll see how many data types we have in Python, and then we'll come back to Notebook. Python data type has a string data type as text type. String will be like a text inside single or double quotes. Under numeric types, we have integer, float, and complex. You can see the example stated under each types. Next is Boolean type, which means it can hold either true or false. Next are few complex built-in data structures in Python. Set type contains set of values enclosed with curly braces, and each value will be separated by a comma inside the set. Mapping type is basically a dictionary. It has key and value as a combination. Sequence type contains list, tuple, and range. We will learn few of the basic data types in this session, and the complex data structures we'll be discussing in the upcoming sessions. Now, let's move back to the notebook. First, let's understand numeric data types with the example which we are familiar throughout this session. The same milk store. We had assigned 1,000 packs of milk to stock variable right. Let's see what the data type was. It's an integer. Let's see the type of next assignment variable, spoiled. Any guess? Yes, it's a float data type, since it has a decimal values. Now, again try the sold variable. It's again an integer type. We did our calculation to calculate the remaining milk packs in the store right. Let's try that equation's data type in Python. It's a float, because the decimal values are involved in the calculation. Apart from integer and float, we saw complex data type. What is complex data type? Some mathematical equations will come under this complex data type. See the type of complex underscore number. Now, let's move on to string data types. In simple terms, anything enclosed between single or double quotes are called strings in Python. Let's see the example where x is assigned with hi and y is assigned with welcome. If you see the type of both x and y, it will be a string. We can combine multiple strings with a plus operator. See how we make a new variable z by combining x and y. See the output, which comes as hi welcome. Now, check the type of z, which is also string, as it is framed based on two strings. We know plus is used to combine two strings. Let's try something different. Try print of z multiply by 10. Variable z contains hi welcome, which got printed 10 times, as per the statement we executed. Let's try another example as shown. In the print statement /n, instruct to move to next line. So, you get a nice looking printing for 10 times. The point to note here is, the multiplication symbol, asterisk, works differently with strings and numeric values. For instance, we are going to take input from user, and going to print it 10 times. As we learnt earlier that, the input function will always convert whatever user input to string. So any string multiplied by 10 times will repeat that string 10 times. We know that user will input numeric values and want to calculate mathematical multiplication. Then we need to do string conversion to number and perform the calculation. This is shown in the notebook. So, this conversion of a string to a float, numeric, type and then back to a string is called data type conversion. Just keep this aside for now, we will discuss in detail shortly about data type conversion. Now, move on to Boolean data type. Boolean states either true or false. See below x and y values assigned and check its type. Let's compare x and y variable and see the output. Since both x and y are true, the comparison also gives the output as true. We learn more on the logical operators to know more on this comparison operator in our upcoming session. For now, just remember, single equal sign is used to assign values to variables, and double equal sign is used for comparison. Let's compare two numbers, as assigned, in variable x and y. Print and see the outcome. So, we know that 2 is not equal to 3, so the comparison return, false. Hope we are all clear with the basic data types. We discussed on strings, numeric, and Boolean data types. We are now moving to our final topic of today's session, data type conversion. You might get confused now by thinking, what is data type conversion on top of all the basics we have learned so far? Don't get overwhelmed. It's just a small extension of where we stopped in the last data type part. For instance, consider we are having a numeric variable n with value assigned as 10. So, we know it's an integer. You want to add a concatenate, a high with n and assign to O. Let's try it and see. You will see a type error saying string and integer can't be added with the specified operand. So, in these situations, we need to convert the numeric one to a string and then can concatenate with other strings. Use the built-in function str_string and provide the numeric variable n. Execute the below and see the output. Now, check the type of O variable, which will be a string. The example shown against variable O is an explicit conversion where we used a string function to convert numeric value. Python will also implicitly converts certain data types, and the example is below for your understanding. Let's take x been assigned with 2 and y been assigned with 3.5. By seeing, you can tell that x is an integer type and y is a float type variable. Now, let's add x and y and assign it to z. So, can you guess what the data type would be for the new variable z? Yes, z is off, float data type. This implicit action, Python will take care of itself based on the formats we are using to assign a variable. Let us summarize what we have discussed so far in this session. Python simplicity, we started off to see how simple is Python. Followed by generic Hello Python World program to understand the built-in print function. Next, Python as a calculator, we saw how Python acts as calculator, start from simple arithmetic operation to a complex ones. Variables, we dive in deep to understand what are variables in Python, how to use it, and its use cases. We worked on with examples along with the assignment operators. Objects, we then discussed on Python objects and its attributes. We then seen how Python is a great conversationalist, along with the print function usage. We also discussed on how simple is Python's variable assignment. Finally, we discussed on basic Python's data types, including string, numeric, and Boolean data types. Ended up the session with data type conversion and the need for it. Alright, that wraps up our deep dive into objects, variables, and data types in Python programming. I hope you all found this tutorial helpful and are feeling more confident in your coding skills. Remember, the best way to learn is by doing, so I encourage you to start practicing and apply what you've learned today. If you have any questions or run into any issues, don't hesitate to drop a comment below. I'll do my best to help you out. If you found this video useful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends who are also learning Python. It really helps the channel grow and reach more budding programmers like you. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you won't miss our next tutorial where we'll be exploring Python programming, control flow, and many more relate to Python and analytics. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Please feel free to visit our channel page and review other topics related to investments if you are interested. Until then, keep coding and I'll see you in the next video.